Hello, everybody. All right. Welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Sunday, July 20th, 2025. Of course, this is our weekly look at, a weekly trip down comics history lane as we take a look back to comics history. This week, we'll be focusing in on, of course, comics went on sale from Dell Comics in June of 1940. Before we go into too deep of that, I'll hand it off to my co-host for a moment to let him let him introduce himself. Share any links, promote any projects he's doing. I think you know the shtick right there, Metal.
No, I don't think I do. Repeat it like 10 more times and maybe I'll get it.
I know.
Yeah, I'm still hunting my links down for a second. Anyway, hey, I'm the Metal. I am a creator on the internet. I mean, aren't we all? And I make quite a few different things. Most of my fiction I put up on xdynamuschaos.com, where you can find webcomics, web novels, all kinds of articles about that world. Sometimes even fan art when people make it. I'll round it up and put it there and share out the artists. I also run a live show at least twice a week, most of the time. Sometimes we miss one, but I'll try to fill the time in over on the Vomitorium Live, where we talk about a lot of the same stuff that gets talked about over here on Mike's channel, except I also take a dive into video games on one of the show, and that's one of the big heavy topics that we talk about on Thursdays. And I currently I'm getting back into doing interviews over on newgrounds.com. I won't share that link for the sake of your stream, because YouTube is weird. And when you share a Newgrounds link, they start to flag things as adult content, even if the link itself isn't adult content. It's just one of the sites that YouTube is flagged. But you can find me at newgrounds.com/I'mADaMetal, which is like the same as almost all my other places, IMMADAMETAL. And you'll be able to find my interviews and stuff there too.
All right. Well, anything more you'd want to say?
Nope. That's it.
All right. Yeah, and most notably on your let's see if I can remember the correct name for it this time. On the other night on Serial Sentai. Well, I think I was calling it Serial Sentai Showdown for some reason, but I'm not sure.
It's Super Serial Showtime, which is also why we have the cinema background for it too, because it's Showtime.
Yeah, well, when I dropped in last Monday, of course, we talked a little bit about Maison and Coco. I had a pretty good conversation with that, so that was pretty cool. Anyways, with all that being said, of course, a friendly reminder to everybody: if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. It'd be appreciated. Also, if anything grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, why don't we go ahead and get into the content here of tonight's show? So tonight, before we do get into the actual reading, we of course have to introduce people to some of the characters that we will be focusing in on tonight. Of course, those notably being, of course, Ellery Queen, Dell's version of the Owl, and Phantasmo, Master of the World. So you just pull that up. All right, there we go. So we got Wikipedia now. All right, so first off, we're going to look at Ellery Queen here. Now, the thing about Ellery Queen is there's, I guess, a real person and there's a fictional person variant of this individual.
Well, to be fair, even the real individual is kind of fictional when you get down to it.
Yeah. So First off here, Ellery Queen is a pseudonym created in 1928 by the American detective fiction writers Frederick Deney, 1905 to 1982, and Manfred Bennington Lee, 1905 to 1907. So they were born in the same year, at least. It is also the name of their main fictional detective, a mystery writer in New York City, who helps his police inspector father solve baffling murder cases. From 1929 to 1971, Deney and Lee wrote around 40 novels and short story collections in which Ellery Queen appears. Now, as I discovered this last week as well, he also did he also had comic appearances as well. So let's go ahead
and like a 70s TV show.
Oh yeah, he had a 70s. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he had comics. He was all over the place. That would appear.
Oh yeah.
So, so on the right here, Ellery Queen, the fictional character. Um, he's a male American detective, author, family Richard Queen father. American is the nationality. Ellery Queen, the fictional character, is the hero of more than 30 novels and several short story collections written by Deney and Lee and published under the Ellery Queen pseudonym. The creation of Queen was probably inspired by Philo Vance, the detective created by the writer, as has been done. According to the critic H.R. Keating, HRF Keating, quote, later the cousins, Deney and Lee, took a sharper view of Vance, Manfred Lee, calling him with typical vehemence, quote, the biggest prig that ever came down the pike, unquote. All right, so at least we got a little bit basic there, and then let me just go down to and other media, of course, here. All right, so let's see now. Of course, for our purposes, we don't need to know everything there. Okay, comic books and graphic novels. Ellery Queen appears as a character in some issues of Crackerjack Funnies, beginning in 1940, which we're going to see that first story here tonight. A 4-issue series by Superior Comics in 1949, 2 issues of a short-lived series by Zip Davis in 1952, and 3 comics published by Dell in 1950. My overall impressions of Queen as a character, he's kind of one of those pulp detective types. I'm thinking. What would you say to my assessment there?
I don't know. I mean, it would be about the time that he was invented, right? Would be around that pulp detective time. But from what I gathered, and this is just a bold assumption because I've never even seen an episode of the show. I've just seen that like reruns have been on, and then I turned the channel. He struck me more as like a classic detective type, similar to like Sherlock Holmes, just written in a more contemporary time.
Okay. All right. So that's all we're going to cover on the basics of Ellery Queen. So let's take a look at some of the other characters, a couple of the other characters, and we'll start off, of course, with the Owl from Dell Comics. As it says here, of course, there were 3 characters. Well, there's Owlman, and then there's, of course, Marvel's Owl, but we're going to focus in on Dell's Owl here. The Owl is a fictional superhero that first appeared in Dell Comics, Crackerjack Funnies number 25, July 1940, continuing until number 43 of January 1942. Basic information here: alter ego Nick Terry. Partnerships include Belle Wayne and Laura Holt. Abilities originally, we'll focus on the original right now, not as opposed to the current. Originally, excellent hand-to-hand combatant, gliding via cape, black light projection via gun. And that was actually kind of popular too among a number of different characters too. You had a number of characters. I know Phantom Lady was another one who had a black light gun. I think Neon the Unknown as well. They had like a black light gun kind of thing. Use of various gimmicks and devices. So let me see if there's anything more here. Powers and abilities. Originally, Al had no superpowers, but he was an excellent hand-to-hand combatant. He wore a cape, which allowed him to glide, had a gun that could project quote-unquote black light, and possessed a flying car called the Owlmobile. And then a later thing had him being released from the urn of Pandora, but that's something we can hit upon later, obviously. And finally,
when I think of the owl, right, I think of actually a completely different character that wasn't even on that disambiguation list. I think of in the Shadow radio play, Danger in the Dark, he fought a villain called the Owl, but like many Shadow villains, that's his only appearance because he dies at the end.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll talk a little bit about Phantasmo, the third character we'll be looking at tonight, who, of course, will be in the Funnies number 45. Phantasmo, Master of the World, is a fictional superhero who appeared in Dell Comics, The Funnies, from 1940 to 1942. During the golden age of comic books, he was Dell Comics' first original superhero feature, and was created by E.C. Stoner, the first known African American comic book artist. Character introduced in the Funnies, issue number 45, cover date July 1940, on sale date June, as the world's greatest magician. Is an American adventurer named Phil Anson. Okay, that's obviously getting more into the story there. Alter ego Phil Anson, Ted Bart. Abilities include separate spirit from body, astral projection, I would say, right?
Yeah, sometimes that would be how you define it. Depends how you do it.
Giving him super strength, flight, invisibility, super growth. All right, so with that, let me go ahead and move over to the reading material now. We're gonna go from the Comic Book Plus site today. And we'll start, of course, with Crackerjack Funnies number 25 first. Okay, there we go. And actually, after I get this all set up, I'm going to need to step away from the computer for a moment. So while I'm gone, Metal, if you can chat with the chat.
What chat?
Yeah, I know. Well, just do something to where it's not dead air.
You want me to vamp? I'm pretty good at yapping. You know, it's a specialty of mine.
All right, I do need to step away from the computer. I'll be right back though, and then when I get back, we'll get started.
Okay. Well, I'll take a break from eating my burger because I had to kind of eat on stream. Thankfully, you guys, anybody watching this now or in the future, don't have to watch that because I don't have my webcam on. It's kind of awkward. I don't get it. Some people used to do this all the time. Twitch used to have a category that was what was it called? It was like public eating or something like that. I can't remember the name of the old category, but there was like an eating category where it's like everybody that maybe you brought your own food to the stream, like you're watching somebody eat. It's kind of the just chatting category. But I always found it really weird. Like, why do you want to sit there and watch somebody else eat? And I think even Twitch found that weird. So they just kind of got rid of the category and lumped it into the just chatting section. But yeah, you guys don't have to watch my mouth flap up and down while I shove food into it. I've had a pretty tired day. I told Mike this backstage, I think before we started, but I barely slept today. I was talking about that Newgrounds interview thing that I do. I was supposed to interview somebody earlier today, and they never showed up. And it was going to be so early that it wouldn't fit my normal sleep schedule. So I just stayed up all the way until like almost noon, and they never showed up. So I'm running on fumes. I had like a nap before having to hop onto the show. Then I got like a walk in, and now I'm eating. So it's a pretty fun day, all things considered. Though I'm not complaining about it. Oy. So I have to go from not interviewing somebody today to being on somebody else's show. Isn't that fun? I actually don't know most of these characters. I was also telling him that backstage. Like, I know of Ellery Queen, like his existence, mostly because there was like a TV show at the time. But this is my first experience with any single story that has Ellery Queen in it.
All right. Anyways, I'm back. So let's see. And I know you said that at least starting off, you wanted to just do commentary, right?
Yes. I am still devouring burger.
Yeah. Now I get it. I mean, I'll probably be having my dinner, after the show tonight. So, all right. So, anyways, here we go. So here's Crackerjack Funnies featuring Ellery Queen, 10 Cents July, number 25. It is right there. And The Flying Fortress, Red Rider, The Owl, Wash Tubs, and others. So, one of the things, and introducing Gabby Scoops, one of the things I noticed when I was looking through this, even before I found, saw that the Funnies was, had a milestone issue too with number 45. You know, I noticed that now at this point in June of 1940, right? Now you're even starting to see some of these companies that were just doing just reprints, comic strip reprints, like Dell and stuff. Now they're starting to come out with original characters, like this. So.
Now, the first thing I noticed is that Gabby Scoops guy has a very punchable face, which is not something I've ever felt about a real person. But for some reason, artists can draw a person with a very punchable face.
Well, as I understand it, from what little I saw of that feature, he does kind of look like kind of a dorky guy in a way to where, yeah, you're probably right. He's like kind of the kind of guy who just would annoy you so much that would probably, I didn't actually pre-read that particular issue because, like initially before I saw that the Funnies had an issue, had the 45th issue out, I was just going to be reading just out of this, and we might have read that one as part of it, but since
and I think that is something about like caricature, right? About art, trying to reflect life, where you can't tell something like that about a person in real life from just their face. It's their actions that make somebody annoying enough to want to punch them or not. But somehow when you're making a caricature, you can kind of get that emotion into the shape of somebody's face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, let's okay, of course, everybody's favorite, Dick Tracy, Chester Gould there, Smiling Jack, Tiny Tim, Terry and the Pirates, Jim Ellis, Jack Wander, Smitty, Magic. Um, so this is from one of the other books that Dell does. And of course, look at that. Apparently, a chunk of that page got taken out. So, anyways, here's Ellery Queen. Let's get into this. The Adventures of Ellery Queen. Coper, 1940, by Ellery Queen. All right. I tell you, she's disappeared. My wife, my life. I leave her at the Moorbuilt Theater. We rehearse after the last show, and I leave while she dresses. When I get home, an hour later, she's not there. Okay, buddy. We'll look into it. Go on home. Man, now that's kind of a rare thing. They jumped right into a dialogue thing, no narration right there. You notice that?
Yeah.
Please, you don't understand. You must look now. Afraid. I'm afraid. She may still be at the theater. Did you look? It's all locked. I can't get in till the janitor comes in the morning. Okay, you wait here. In the meantime, we'll send out her description and comb the city. Kind of nice how I'm like kind of going back and forth amongst the Irish accents, huh?
Sure, if you say so.
Or is it Scottish I'm doing?
It's really hard to tell.
Through the long night, the police comb the city, searching for Vera Oslo, Sven. Sven impatiently waits at police headquarters. The search proves fruitless. In the morning, the janitor arrives at the Moorbuilt Theater to open up.
Sven and Vera Oslo. Sounds more like this guy should have like a Finnish or Swedish accent, you know.
Scandinavian accent. I know.
Yeah.
It's just that with A, like I was thinking that was being pronounced I, like I, but
Yeah, but like the letter I is already pronounced I, so why would you need to change it?
Well, some people, yeah, I get, or maybe I'm just thinking a slight variation on the Japanese lettering AI,
Yeah.
Have it open in a jiffy. Anything wrong, Sven? My wife, my my wife, she is disappeared. Sorry, I'm trying.
Yeah.
She's probably asleep in her dressing room, dozed off and stayed there all night. It's no, Vera, my wife dead. Oh no, no. Oh, look at that. Man, she
This is a time when you could depict somebody hanging in a comic.
Yeah. Before the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah. It was odd. We've kind of swung back around because as long as you don't really show them dying, you could depict somebody hanging in a comic now. It's just like a long period of time where you couldn't.
Hmm. Hmm.
And realistically, if you're an indie, you can kind of do whatever you want. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Ellery and his father, Inspector Queen, are immediately called to the scene of the crime. Well, Ellery, what do you think of it? Frankly, Dad, I've never run across a case like it. In this room are four perfect weapons of death. Four perfect weapons of death. Okay, it's kind of an interesting way to say it.
That is weird because, and as far as I'm considered, anything in my hands could be a perfect weapon of death.
Mm-hmm. A loaded revolver, a sharp letter opener, a hammer, and a gas burner. And a gas burner, and yet the killer chose hanging with a rope, which I found came off a trunk in the cellar. You're you're right, son. He ignored the handy things strange. Hmm. Well, unless he was somehow trying to but with no actual note applying, unless somebody was trying to make it look like a suicide or something like that.
Maybe, right? But the thing is, most murders are those done out of passion and usually in the act, right? Like people don't premeditate too much. Uh, but those aren't the interesting ones, right? You're trying to solve a case. Usually you want a premeditated murder. And I think that's what they're setting up right here, where it's like this guy still maybe did a crime of passion, maybe did something cold and calculated, but he thought his way through, and this was how he decided to do it.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, Velly, what did you get out of him? He and his wife did a trapeze act. Been married 2 years. He he handled the act. She the business. She put all the money in stocks, real estate in her name. Hmm. My my wife was good and smart. My wife was good and smart. They kill her 'cause she's smarter than they. But I find out who and I get even. Hmm. Is there anyone you suspect, Sven? Sure. Sven suspects every act on the bill, and he's right. We all had reason to kill her. Who are you? My name's Star, Tech Star, and I mean that his wife, Vera Oslo, stole every cent we had. I kill you! I kill you! Take it easy, Sven. All right, Star. Go ahead, explain yourself. She got all of us to buy a lot of real estate in the Jersey swamps. Oh, doesn't that remind you of a classic bit? You know, and I use a bit quite a bit. Well, if you believe that, I've got some swampland in Florida I'd like to sell you, right?
Hey, you know what? Some of the most valuable land in Florida right now is swampland because somebody bought it out like several decades ago. And then it's called Disney World. It was dirt cheap when he bought it. That's why he went to a swamp.
Yeah. Yesterday, we found it was worthless. I kill you. It seems we have 3 suspects, eh, Dad? Each with the same motive. Yep. Texar, Zogi the magician, and Jane Taps, the dancer.
Well, you should have 4 suspects, honestly, if this was a real police case. At no point have you ruled out that this could all just be a ruse from Sven, who's trying to collect all of the money that his wife stupidly embezzled or whatever. Not saying that is the case, but in a real police case, Sven has not been ruled out.
Good point there, but I guess we'll wait and see. And me, gentlemen. Dan Farney's the name. I'm stage manager of the unit. I hated her worse than any of them. She took the money I saved for my kids' education. Thanks, Mr. Farney. That makes 4 suspects. Perhaps you could narrow it down to 1. Sorry, Queen. You're the detective. You solve the mysteries. Fair enough. You will see that no one leaves the theater. Farney, Dad, has Doc Prouty come? Let's go see. Ellery and the inspector find Doc Prouty, medical examiner, and Burson, the knot expert, looking at the noose.
Why do we need a knot expert?
I have no idea, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. Maybe it's to just verify that it was a murder and not a. Maybe it was to verify that it's a murder and not a suicide.
Yeah, I mean, but she also did tightrope, right? So what if she needed to tie her own tightrope, or she did acrobatics, right? What if she needed to tie her own acrobatic stuff? Maybe the trapeze is what they were saying before for her own show. She might be really good at tying knots. This might not even really matter at all.
Well, Burson, do you recognize that knot? Well, Doc, it's a variation I've never seen. Probably a magician's knot. Did you hear that, Ellery? A magician's knot. That shows up this case. It looks like a clue. All right, Dad. All right, Dad. Pointing directly at Zogi the magician. The trouble is, it's too obvious. Would you agree with Ellery's assessment there, Metal?
Maybe. I don't know. The problem is okay, technically there's no such thing as a magician's knot. There is a false knot that is sometimes used to make a fake noose. But the problem is, right, if it is a false knot for a fake noose, then the person shouldn't actually be in any danger. So effectively, no matter what, this has to be a real noose knot.
Yeah.
Because if you were to say magician's knot, obviously you'd be thinking of the classic trick, which is the magic knot, which is actually just a loop, and if you pull it, it comes undone, but it looks like it's a knot that shouldn't be.
Just because a clue's handed to you on a silver platter, you've got to snub it. Well, I'm going to follow it up. All right. Oh, actually, no. Okay. Ah, just because a just because a clue is handed to you on a silver platter, you've got to snub it. Well, I'm going to follow it up. I always was your problem child, Dad. Lots of luck. Burson, the knot expert, after looking at the knot, lowers the body so it can be taken to the morgue.
What does it take to be a knot expert? Like, I was in the Scouts. I know a lot of different knots. Does that qualify me as a knot expert? Like, what kind of certification or degree do you have to go through to be a knot expert?
Good question. I just unfortunately don't have the answer for you. I mean,
I don't
think
think
about it.
anyone does.
Is there really a not college, as it were?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you go back in time,
you go and get a BA of knots or whatever.
yeah, right. Like maybe the only knot expert I could think of was the person who strung together the Gordian knot, right? But then we found like the easiest way to undo that was just to slash it in half. So was it really a good knot at the end of the day?
All right. So, anyway, I don't even know the differences between knots. So, um, ah, you sure riled up your old man. Say, I'm taking the body down to the morgue for autopsy. Give you a report as soon as I can. Thanks, Doc. Hurry it up, will you? Suddenly, a sandbag falls on Tex. On Tex, Ellery yells, "Tex, look out! Tex, look out, Tex!" All right, they've got these man. It looks like they got these these word bubbles here, these
Yeah.
speech bubbles, a little off there.
So I had to go look this up because it was bothering. Apparently, there is an actual international guild of knot tires. Right?
Oh,
So
there
if you
is.
are a knot expert, you would be called either a knot tire or a knotter. The problem is that there isn't really anything that makes you an expert on knots other than spending the time to know knots. So it's not particularly a hard skill to become an expert in, just spend like 1,000 hours learning every type of knot. But like, I think most Eagle Scouts are, or even most sailors are probably not experts.
Yeah. Hmm. Tex, are you all right? I guess so, Janie. What a close call. Hey, what's going on here? That wasn't an accident, Tex. Someone tried to kill you. It ain't hard to guess who. That big baboon, Sven. I'll have to keep an eye on him. Please be careful, Tex. We're going to be married soon. Not now. We ain't, Janie. I gave Vera all my money for that phony real estate. Oops. Oh well, I went kind of the wrong way there.
Yeah, yeah. At least we know it's well, they still say it's phony real estate.
Hmm. Tex. Wait, I'm sorry. Tex, honey, what have you done? Why does Sven? Listen, Janie, I ain't done nothing. I'm sorry for, and I ain't sorry for what's happened to Vera. So, a little screwy there, but this I think is a 12 pager. By the way, just so you know.
Yeah, yeah. You know, what's funny
Meantime,
is that land that he sold, I probably would have been available to give fake land to somebody or to like trick them back then. Because like the only swampland in Jersey I could think of is in the Pinelands, right? Which in 1940 would have still been around. But as of 1960, all of the Pinelands are basically a like a wildlife refuge, right? So like
hmm,
if it had just been a couple decades later, you couldn't even trick somebody into this. It's like, well, you can't sell me land in a wildlife refuge. You don't own the land to sell.
hmm, yeah. Well, they could try though.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It would just be a
Me,
lot
me,
harder to trick somebody later, right?
right. Meantime, Inspector Queen interviews his pet suspect, Zogi the magician, and I finish my act with an escape trick. I tie a knot of my own invention, which enables me to get free in 3 seconds. Hmm. Is this a knot? The inspector snaps on the handcuffs. Why, yes, but how could you? How could you? Only I know how to tie that knot, and that's why I'm arresting you for the murder of Vera Oslo. Click. Triumphantly, the inspector leads his catch to Ellery. This time I beat you to the punch, Ellery. Zogi's just admitted his guilt. It's not true. I know nothing. Really, Dad? It's amazing. Quiet, Zogi. Quiet, Zoe. You admitted you're the only one that can tie this knot. Well, to his knowledge, yeah. Who's to say that somebody else might not have been able to figure out how to tie that knot?
Yeah. Or what if it was like you know how some people are really bad at tying ties? So all they do is they loosen their tie, they slip it off, and then they put it back on and they tighten again. What if they like found a knot he had already tied, loosened it around her, and then just tightened it again?
Hmm. That's possible too. But I guess we'll wait and see as we continue to read the story here. Hmm. But Dad, Doc Prouty phoned that Vera also died between 12 and 1 last night. So 12 midnight and 1 a.m. last night, and between 12 and 1 last night, I found that Zogi was doing his act at the policeman's benefit. So it sounds like he's got an alibi then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but who else could have tied this knot? The murderer watched the act and learned how to tie the knot so he could use it to frame Zogi. Hmm. Well, that'd be something if. Well, okay, I guess it would depend upon how many times you watched him tie that knot, though.
Yeah, possibly. It also would depend if like maybe you have magician skills yourself already. So you're already like in the right mindset and you're like, okay, I'm kind of piecing together how he tied this knot. It's like Penn and Teller's Fool Us, right? Where it's like maybe they don't know exactly how a full trick was done, but because they're already magicians, they can kind of piece together and figure out how the person did the trick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's possible. Hey, how do you get those handcuffs off, Zogi? You forget, Dad, that most magicians are escape artists.
That's not true, but probably most of the ones in the public eye of that time, just because like escape artistry was very popular. So that's probably what most people
That
would have been
was a
watching.
part of a lot of their magic acts.
Yeah, most magicians just practice sleight of hand. If we're talking about like the vast majority of magicians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just getting a good look at how
the panel layout is.
Yeah. I'm going up and down. All right.
Yeah, it seems like it's this big long panel, and then it's going to be zigzagging back down afterwards.
Well, you got left, right, and then down, left, right, and then and so Inspector Queen Ellery, Inspector Queen Ellery, and Zogi on the stage. Here's Sergeant Valley and Sven arguing up on a balcony. All right, Sven. Cut it out and come on down. Come on downstairs before I slug you. You let go. You let go of me. Kill Tex. He kill her. Yes, I guess maybe I killed Tex. I guess that was, or maybe A is just how the Swedish say I guess.
Yeah, it's just how he's pronouncing I. He's like, A, kill him. You know, it's just how he's saying it.
Hold him, Belly. We'll be right up. Sven struggles with Veli, stunning him with a right cross. Suddenly, Sven hurls Veli over his head. More of a judo move there.
Yeah, it's just general wrestling, right? Like, I figure like every single type of wrestling has some type of toss or throw.
Yeah. Tex rushes up and throws his rope over the fleeing Sven. He say my wife cheat him. He kill her. A kill him. Hold it, Sven. Try that again, Sven, and I'll. I'm sorry. Try that again, Sven, and I'll lock you up. We're not getting anywhere. 4 people with a sound motive, and not a scrap of evidence to pin it on any of them. There's a missing clue someplace, Dad. Something that is vitally important. Wait till you see what I've got to show you. I hope it's my missing clue, Doc. Thumb marks on Vera's neck, pointing down. Yep, I've never saw a set before that didn't point up. So what? Don't you see that? Vera's body was strung up to conceal the fact that she was choked to death.
I believe the proper terminology is strangled.
The rope around her neck was just a cover up for the thumb marks. I still say so what? You'll understand presently, Dad. I'm going to put on my show. A few minutes later, the entire unit is on the stage. I've called you here to show a photograph of Vera. It tells two things. First, she wasn't hanged, she was choked to death. And second, it tells us who the murderer is. At this point, Ellery Queen knew the murder. Do you? Go over the story, pick out every possible clue, then put them together and see if you too know the killer at this point. There are 3 clues. So, Metal, do you have any suspect who the killer might be?
Let me think. So we know she was strangled, upside down at that, because the thumb was pointing down, so that he had to have been either above her or she had to have been upside down or laying down or whatever. Right? That's the only way you would get thumb marks going the other way.
Right. Anything else you want to say on that, or?
I'm trying to think what the other clues are. We know that the knot was a red herring from the beginning, so that eliminates the magician. I'm trying to think. What are the 3 actual clues? Oh, I got one of them down. I'm trying to remember what the other 2 are. Do you remember what the other 2 clues were?
No,
that the magician has an alibi.
Huh?
That and the magician has an alibi. I guess one of the clues is that we know when she died, right? Which is between midnight and 1 o'clock.
All right. Well, anyways,
I'm going to say that the whole thing's been a red herring. The reason the guy's freaking out is to try to make it look like he didn't kill his own wife. And the reason the thumbs are going upside down is because he's a trapeze artist, so he was hanging upside down when he strangled her.
So you think maybe that in this case, Sven might have been what's that old quote there? And I guess I must have switched pages already, but let me just go back to the previous one because I didn't intend to do that. Yeah. So you think that maybe Sven might be, as the old saying goes, doth protest a bit too much?
Possibly, yeah. I think he's trying to seem like he's very passionate about his wife dying as a way of covering up the fact that he did it, right? Because it's like, obviously, as the husband, he should be angry that his wife is dead, but he's got to try to push the blame somewhere else.
Hmm. to take
Which
the.
I said from the beginning that he should have been a suspect, and it's almost like they didn't even put him in the list when in an actual case. At no point have we eliminated him from being a suspect.
All right. Well, now we'll move on. Let's see what happens as we move on now. So, who killed her? Which one? A, kill him with my hands. It's time. It's time you stopped your acting, Sven. I know you killed your own wife. Now look at Sven's face right there as he's hearing that. That's got to be something.
Yeah, he looks a little constipated. Maybe he is emotionally constipated because he didn't realize he'd get caught this easily.
Yeah. Trapped, the Swede makes a desperate attempt to escape.
He doesn't even try to talk his way out of it. He's like, darn it. They know.
Ellery and Sergeant Veli speed after Sven, desperate, crazed. So yeah, you were right there. He was the suspect all along. Or he should have been the suspect all along. Sven hurls the extinguisher as Ellery ducks. Sergeant Veli doesn't see it and is hit.
Oh, there actually was text at the bottom of that one panel. It's hidden inside his jacket.
Oh. Reaching the first balcony, Sven grabs a fire extinguisher and prepares to hurl it.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to do a text box right there because of how broad his shoulders are, that his jacket having no shading just becomes a text box. Horrible color for it, though. Like, the text kind of just blends right into it.
Yeah. Sven hurls the extinguisher as Ellery ducks. Sergeant Vale doesn't see it and is hit. Inspector Queen shoots Sven in the shoulder, but Sven continues to run with Ellery close behind. Suddenly, Sven dives over the rail.
You forget you're chasing a trapeze artist.
Yeah. His hands grasp a dangling rope, his arms almost torn from their sockets by the sudden jerk. Seeing that Ellery is about to shoot him, Sven swings back, kicks Ellery in the face, and sends his gun flying. Sven now swings back to a catwalk and climbs to safety. With no other means of getting to the catwalk, Ellery jumps for the swinging rope. Wow! Now I wonder what would have happened if he missed the rope, but something tells me he's going to catch the rope. What's so funny?
Oh, just as they're doing this, I hear a daring young man on the flying trapeze playing in my head.
Oh yeah, I remember. I actually remember the Popeye episode with that.
Yeah, that's a good episode.
Yeah. Ellery succeeds in catching the rope and swinging over to the catwalk. Sven tries desperately to kick him off. Just as he's about to kick Ellery off, the pain in Sven's shoulder becomes so great that his hands relax. The their hold on the rail, and he slipped into space. Oh boy. On the flying trapeze. Let's see now.
It's such a catchy song too.
Yeah.
Gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the evening now. I'm gonna have to like listen to it as soon as the show's over.
Yeah. Look out! Ellery, son, are you all right? Certainly, Dad. Poor Sven. You scared him out of a month's growth of chin whiskers, Mr. Queen. Ellery explains how he knew Sven was his own wife's killer. Frankly, I didn't suspect Sven until Doc Prouty brought in the photograph showing the thumbprints upside down. Picture of the thumb marks upside down.
Frankly, you're slow because I was suspecting him from the beginning.
Yeah. Doth protest a bit too much. Obviously, the marks were made. By someone who was in reversed position. Who? Obviously, Sven, who was rehearsing a new trapeze trick with Vera. Instead of grabbing her by the arms, he grabbed her neck and, swinging back and forth, choked her to death. I mean, in a way, he strangled her via hanging, basically.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to say this is also partially on her, right? She's a trapeze artist, which means she has to have quite a bit of upper body strength. Choking someone's actually from the front, the hardest way to choke somebody out in general. Her problem is that she didn't grab his arms for stability, where at best, maybe she could have knocked him off and they both would have fell to their deaths. And at least she wouldn't have been the only one that died. Or they would have landed in a net. If they're smart, they would have been practicing over a net.
His motive? The same as everyone else's here. And more and more and more. You remember, Dad, Veli learned that all their money was in Vera's name. Vera had easily saved enough from the act and the phony real estate sales to go away. Tired of Sven, she told him she was leaving. And with all their money, rather than lose everything, Sven killed her.
Yeah, it seems like a really convoluted way to kill someone too. Like, it worked for him until he got caught, but like he actually did manage to kill her. But like the only reason men get to strangle women normally is because they're just so much bigger than the woman, and they get to put their weight on top of it, and there's nothing the woman could do about it. But his like weight's not on top of her. Like, she could just hang from his arms until gets tired of failing to choke her. Like, that's a horrible way to choke somebody.
Yeah. Another adventure of Ellery Queen in next month's issue. All right. So, and I know you were already giving a lot of commentary before, so I'll ask, but I'll still ask the questions I've been asking for each story. Overall impressions of the story.
Well, I have to judge it by the type of story that it is, and it is a detective murder mystery. And I think for a detective murder mystery put into a comic form in the era that came out, it's really good. You know, I have a few complaints, but like, honestly, I would have these exact same complaints if I was watching pretty much any show but Columbo, which is like a notch above the rest. So, like, I think it does a good job with the narrative, with the storytelling, placing the clues so you could try to figure it out yourself. And I think the art kind of stands up for its time too. So I think overall it was a pretty good story.
All right. So now we'll get ready to move on to the next story then, The Owl. And looks like we do have some people in the chat, albeit they haven't commented yet. But
maybe they're just enjoying themselves.
Yeah, lurking about, I guess. All right, so let's find The Owl. Then I'm going to actually need to step away.
Lurking's my favorite.
Red Rider.
Oh, I do too. But you know what? We could tag out. I'll let you step away first, and then I'll go when you get back.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody watching, you guys enjoyed that quick little murder mystery too. It's definitely, you should have higher expectations of a story like that anyway, because he's a pre-established character. I think your expectations can be a lot lower when somebody just makes up a new character for a comic. But no matter what the time is, if you are adapting a character that's pre-established, which Queen is, you need to be doing it right. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to do stories that were already written. I've never read one of Queen's stories, so I don't know if that was one that was already written that they just adapted into comic form, or if it was something that the writer just came up with. But still, it's a solid story. And so far, the adapted stories we've read by every single company have been more solid than a lot of the original stuff. Which makes me think that they are pulling a lot from the source material. But I would read more. I would definitely read more. Though it makes me want to read more of Queen's comics, and more so make me want to go back and read the novelized stuff to see how it is. But I wouldn't be against reading more of Ellery Queen stuff. It actually kind of makes me want to check out the 70s TV show for the character that happened later at this point. It's like I said before, it's one of those things I've always seen on TV, on like the rerun channels, but I've never stopped to watch it. I've always just like flicked right by. So I knew of its existence. But he's an interesting character. I think he's cool. I didn't know that his dad was involved in the stories. I don't know if that's in the general characters' stories or if that's just something for the comics, but it's kind of cool that it had like this father-son detective agency thing going on, where I'm guessing you would say like the father's the actual detective or whatever. He's the senior, and his son is in that kind of like shadow apprentice role, but he's clearly the gifted, talented one that is solving the case, and his dad, the more experienced, is kind of letting him run loose to solve it because he understands his son's gifts. At least that's how that comic was portraying it. He said, I don't know if the source material is that way.
Yeah. Well, I know you said you needed to also step away for a moment. So
yeah, it won't take too long.
And then when you come back, then I'll start reading the.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody's enjoying the show thus far. Of course, a quick friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. And I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Or we'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. Sorry about that. Hopefully, though, everybody's, again, having a good weekend. As we're already over halfway through the month here. About halfway through summer, I guess. Now, the thing is, here in California, of course, where I'm at, if anything, it actually starts getting hotter in like September and October. It's kind of funny. Okay. It's been kind of cool lately. It's been a bit overcast where I'm at here in California. But
same. It's actually overcast today. It was a nice, breezy 93-degree day for being in the middle of the Arizona desert.
Yeah. All right. So, well, with metal back now, I guess that's a good time to continue on with the readings, of course. Well, get to the owl now.
Hey, you know what? You're lucky that when you were gone, I didn't just start breaking into the daring young man and the flying trapeze.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. The owl. In his luxurious New York penthouse, Nick Terry, famous private detective, receives uh, his fiancée, um, Belle Wayne, star reporter for the New York Eagle.
I think these are my favorite kind of stories we've read so far, though, are all of the private eye stories, just because I think the genre of like private detective stories has been more established, so people know how to write them, and the kind of like pulp hero transitioning into superhero story is still really new at this point, and people are still kind of figuring out like what the patterns are for writing those type of stories, and
Uh-huh.
like this is just an easier genre to jump into.
Well, yeah. Well, you also have to remember this is also a time when you had many different genres at work in the comics
Yeah,
too. We're
they
talking
haven't
about
like
now the
converged
private
into the
detective,
superhero genre
superhero.
yet.
You have the aviation. You have the war stories. You have
Yeah,
science
which
fiction.
even the aviation and war kind of bleed into each other because of the nature of like what was going on at the time. I think war comics are also just a more established type of comic at that point, so it's easier to write war stories or just war in general outside of comics, right? I think the big problem comics have is that they're coming from pulp, sort of, right? There were pulp heroes before they hit the comics.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's a lot of originals, but it's a genre being developed in comics. It's not stuff where they can go outside of comics for too much inspiration or how to make it. Detective
Mm-hmm.
stories, like they've been novelizing detectives forever at this point.
Right. All right. All right. So shall I continue then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. What's the excitement, gal? Look at this. After all your good work in getting that gangster behind bars. Hmm. And has the great Nick Terry anything to say for the press? I need a story. Not now, Angel Face. I've got to get down to police headquarters. See you later. Ah. So that's the way you got out, head chief? Yes, but between you and me, Nick, he had between you and me, Nick, he had outside help from some higher up. Some powerful gang must back him. That night, you retire early tonight as usual, Mister Terry. Yeah, yes, Soto. You may go. Tell the nightman downstairs, and I am not to be disturbed. No one, no one is to disturb Mister Terry. No phone calls, nothing till morning. Gee, that gent certainly must like his sleep. He most always hits the hay early. I'll set the alarm for 12 midnight. Ought to get a little sleep before then. Uh, I'll set the alarm for midnight, 12 midnight. Ought to get a little sleep before then.
Oh man, I know how he feels.
At least at this point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As you
Oh,
leave.
is that
Oh,
his outfit? That is an un like I've read owl stuff before. It's been a while. I forgot what he looked like. That is a very, very unfortunately designed outfit.
Well, this obviously the very first story of this owl character.
Yeah, well, this is also the one I've read the most. Is the Dell one? I've never really gotten into Marvel's Owl.
Well, if I remember correctly, Marvel's Owl was actually a criminal, not a hero. He was a bad guy.
So it's like, though this Dell's kind of looks like a criminal. Like that's what I'm saying. It's so unfortunate. That guy is in somewhere. I think he's the one causing the trouble.
As the alarm sounds 12 midnight, Nick arises and dons a strange black garb. Now, when Nick, Terry, and the law fail, the owl will see justice through. Let's see. Taking his private elevator down to the basement, the owl, large black shadow with phosphorescent eyes, goes out into the night.
That's like a nice symbolic look. It's not how shadows work.
Not shadow? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm saying like that. It's a nice symbolic look where the shadow he's casting looks like an owl, but then the glow of his eyes are supposed to be getting rid of that part of the shadow. That's not how shadows work, though. You wouldn't get like these nice solid eyes, but unless you were like right up against the wall itself. By the time that glowing light or whatever reflects and hits the wall, it's going to be so fuzzy that you might see the shape there, but it wouldn't look like eyes. It would just look like maybe some fuzzy donuts on the wall. If anything.
But Carver, I didn't rat on you. I'm with you, pal. You won't be with me long, Weasel. I don't squeal, Carver. Oh, take it, rat. Bang! Well, now I guess you can add murder to the list of crimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I'd find Carver at his old hideout, and he's added another murder to his record. Uh-oh. I hear him coming back. Okay, Louis, let's get this stiff out of here. Yeah, I think this one was said to be 8 pages.
Yeah. Just trying to think of like ways to make that work. Like if you use lasers, maybe just because the light is so condensed. Possibly. Projectors? Maybe if they were projectors instead.
Well, I think we did read.
We said it was like phosphorescent, which is more of a glow than anything, but a glow wouldn't give you that effect. You'd actually need like you'd have to be something with modern technology like LEDs, and you're actually like highly powerfully projecting the light, because then you would just have that separate light cast instead of a shadow there. You wouldn't get that out of like a glowing reflection or anything.
Yeah, well, and as I was talking about, before we got into reading and stuff, I think they talked about one of his, I guess, equipment or whatever that he had was like a black light gun, much akin to like Phantom Lady or Neon the Unknown.
Yeah, and that would probably have a little bit more of a effect if it was like a black light that was functioning as a projector. But these eyes, they're just bothering me. Like they look cool. It's a cool design. I'm not blaming the artist for doing that, for creating the character this way. It's just like, man, I'm trying to figure out a way to make this work.
All right. You are doomed, Carter. Doomed. What is it? Who are you? What do you want? This is the owl, Carver, and I promise you will not see the dawn. Ha 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 ha! It, it looks as if my plan is working. In his effort to escape, he should lead me right to the stolen documents. The owl strikes before dawn, Carver. Step on it. Head for the Long Island hideout. Geez, boss. That thing wasn't human. The owl clings to the back of the auto as Carver and his stooge race for a cottage on the water's edge of Long Island Bay. No car in sight. Wait. No car in sight. We're safe now. Were you about to say something there, Metal?
No, you probably just I burped a little, but I do have something to say. More like I'm still fixated on these eyes. I was thinking that if they were bright enough to do that, though, like whatever effect would cause it, if they were like highly focused flashlights, right, like a projector light, he would actually have a weapon on his face. If like anybody looked into his eyes instead of just the shadow following them around, where this light is like cutting through the shadow, he would actually blind them. Right? It'd be like if one of the best self-defense weapons you can have walking around at night is a flashlight, because you could just like flash it in somebody's face real quick and there's nothing they can do. They can't see where you are because you just blind them with a flashlight. If anybody just looked the owl in the face with how bright those eyes would have to be, they just wouldn't be able to do anything. They'd only roughly know where he is because they know where the light is coming from.
All right. And we're coming up on an hour 22 now, so I think we will, after this, we will get to one more story. I was going to try 4, but 3 will still get to. Well, what was that?
I was just saying okie doke, but before that I was saying he is a dangerous man, just walking around.
Who, the owl?
Yeah. You can literally just blind anyone at any time. That's a dangerous thing.
Yeah. Well, here we are, safe. But we've got to work fast. Okay, boss. Only I was wondering what that owl guy meant when he said, you ain't seeing the dawn. Silence, you fool. Do you believe every witch's tale you hear? Go to the roadhouse and start the boat. I have to go into the cottage. Hurry, boss. I'll feel much safer when we're on the water. In the cottage are hidden the valuable documents that Carver stole from a high Navy official. He gets these as the owl suspected, before making his final dash for freedom. Satisfied that Carver has the papers, the owl rushes to the boathouse. All right, Louis, shove off. We're on our way. Oh, and you see that shadowy figure over Louis there, I guess?
Yeah.
In that previous panel?
Like, it's symbolically, it's a really good design. You know, I'm just really trying to make it work.
As the craft noses out into the open water, Carver's confidence returns. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've outsmarted the law, and as for that owl, bah! Let's see him fly out here. Ha! The spy ring will pay well for these papers. Here comes the dawn, Louis. Or here comes the dawn, Louis, and I ain't dead yet. Ha ha! And scared, Louis. Ha! But the owl, having tied and gagged Louis, is at the helm, and as dawn breaks, Eow! It's dawn, Carver. Your time has come. Dead. Dead. The shock must have been too much for his heart. Well, this crook surely deserved it. Now, to get the papers.
Was it that the shock alone was too much for his heart? Or did he have a heart attack after looking you directly in your eyes, getting blinded, and think he was seeing heaven itself?
These papers are too valuable for even the police to see. Later, as the owl, I'll take them to the naval authorities in Washington. Kind of wonder what's in those papers, don't you think?
Yeah.
I'd better hurry and get this boat with this cargo back to Carver's place. Then I'll borrow his car and get to my apartment. The owl can't afford to be seen in daylight. Leaving Louis and the body of Carver in the boathouse, the owl drives back to his home, then goes up the private elevator and into his bedroom again, and to again become Nick Terry. I'll tip off the police as to where they can find Carver without letting them know who I am. Later that morning, Bell calls. While you sleep, Nick Terry, I get news scoop. Carver was found dead this morning. A small paper owl was pasted on his forehead. No. Yes, his henchman was alive, but scared stiff. Babbled something about an owl person, but I think it was the work of another gang. My, you are a little news hound. Next month, the owl strikes again. Don't miss it. All right. So overall impressions.
Yeah, overall impressions, not getting hung up on this hood. That is still bothering me. I was thinking of like another issue with it where it almost looks like he's got eye holes in the middle, right? But if the light was powerful enough for him to actually like project it onto walls and stuff like that, then even if you put like a tint in there so you could look through, there's no way he could actually be looking through the eye holes. Right. Like, even with sunglasses to stop literal blindness, he'd still be figuratively blind because it would be too bright, too much light pollution to let like a lot of reflected light from the environment to bounce back into his eyes. So they'd have to be sitting like slightly above his own eyes, which might even make the owl look taller. That might be to an advantage that way for him to actually be able to see what he's doing. Not that it matters where he's looking out. But my overall impressions, it was an all right Batman story.
The all right Batman story.
Yeah, because it's basically the same type of story, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So as I said, we're gonna do one more story here. So I just gotta get through the funnies. Funnies number 45. Oh, go ahead.
If I had the funds, I think I would make a functional owl hood. Because I think I figured out a way to make it work the way it does in that comic. Obviously, you're reliant on your environment, so the shadow on the wall won't always be so sharp, just like real life. But like I think of a way that can make it work. You would be blinding your enemies. It wouldn't work with the stuff they said they were using in there. But I think even using technology of the time, if you had some type of like battery or power system lower down inside the back of your shirt or behind the cloak or whatever, that was just wired up into the type of bulbs that were available at the time, we could actually make that work. It would just need projected light, not a glow.
All right. So actually, I did forget to mention that, of course, after we get through this story, I'll ask for your overall impression. Then I will do the whole which one you like the best, which one you like the least question, and then we'll get into this day and age history. So that's how we'll wrap things up. So,
anyways, typical schedule.
Huh?
It's the typical schedule over here.
All right, so here we go. Introducing Phantasmo, Master of the World. Also Rex, King of the Deep, John Carter, Sky Ranger, Captain Easy, and others.
John Carter, you say?
John Carter of Mars, yeah, he was being...
Yeah. I love The Princess of Mars. It's a great science fiction novel.
All right, so let's see. Corpor Pro by R.S. Chillender. Phantasmo, Master of the World. High on top of the world's highest mountain stands Phantasmo, the world's greatest magician, and next to him, a Tibetan Lama. Bid thou farewell, High Lama. Thou hast learned all mystery of body and mind, Phantasmo. Wield the power well.
But do you have to be practically naked to wield the power well?
A minute's concentration of his power of mind lifts Phantasmo's earthly shackles and sends him hurtling toward the skies to his destination. Back to my own race, my people, after 25 years. Oh, look at that. He's above every...
Yeah. When we get to that panel, I really like the art of showing the cape movement by making it kind of transparent. That's kind of the third panel. That's a really good effect, especially for the time, like trying to figure out how to use the limitation of printing to get that effect with colors.
I tell you, it's a man. He's just standing there in the sky. Ah, nuts. It's a trick. Something done with mirrors. Look. He's moving. It seems I am frightening the poor creatures. Calls the people poor creatures.
Yeah. Your go-to is a trick with mirrors and not a trick with like a bunch of fishing wire that you couldn't see. That's your go-to?
That's usually most people's go-to. It was a mistake to show my power so openly. I must disguise myself as one of them. Really? He's gone. Up in smoke. Oh, somebody got a little screwed with the paint. You see that one guy's face right there?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
somebody got a little screwed with the coloring or the painting or whatever.
Hey, maybe they're just having fun.
It's a trick, I tell you.
Though it could also be a printing error, because there's like thick spotted black all around it. It could have just not have reflected right when they were getting the printing in.
That's possible too. At the same time, in a downtown clothing store, there wasn't anybody. There wasn't anybody. 1 minute that suit and coat was on the hanger, and then it was gone. It's screwy. Look at the dough, correct amount, $37.50 for the suit and $45 for the overcoat. And then in another store, who put this $26.95 here? Gee, I'm sure I didn't. I haven't sold a dime's worth in the last hour. You must be dreaming, honey. There hasn't been a customer in the store for I don't know how long. Apparently he's invisible.
It's this weird gray area where he's stealing, but he's still paying for it. But technically, like, unless inventory can be accounted for, even if you pay for something, you're still stealing. It's like he should have left a note for the exact things that were purchased so they can line up the money that was left on the counter for the thing that was stolen, so their inventory could be tracked. But I'm let it slide. This is like his first time back after what? It was like 25 years. Maybe he's just not used to how society works anymore.
Well, the thing is though, is that they did say that he did leave exact change for that one suit.
Yeah, but that's them having to put it together. He should have left a note as well. Be like, this money is for this thing that you'll find is missing.
Now that I'm like everyone else, perhaps I can enjoy the sights without creating a major disturbance. My next need is a place of residence. I'd like a quiet room overlooking Central Park. On the ninth floor, sir? As Phil Anson of New York, Phantasmo, registers at an uptown hotel. Take Mr. Anson to room 917, Wizard. Elevator's this way, sir. The clerk called you Wizard. That's a name to live up to. Wizard McGee, that's me. Here we are at the 9th floor, sir.
They call him Wizard because he gets the bags up to the room really quick. Always just like whizzing around the hotel getting things done.
Well, as I found out, I think on the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, right? Apparently Wizard was a name they used a lot when they meant, somebody who's speeding or
it can be used in either case, whether it's because you move fast or your brain moves fast, right? Like you're a whiz. It's just somebody who whizzes around in any type of way.
Yeah. $50? What's this for? To pay you for keeping a secret. Gee whiz, Mr. Anson. How do you know I can keep a secret that big?
Oh, maybe they just call him Wizard because he says gee whiz all the time.
As long as he doesn't take a whiz, I guess.
Yeah. Look, that's not the reason why.
Because I know you're honest, Wizard McGee, and I'm going to need your help. But who are you anyway? I am Phantasmo, master of space. I can fly on the wings of thought. I can grow small or huge. I can put the Empire State Building on my shoulder and walk with it to the bottom of the Atlantic. Walk with it to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But I need your help, Wither, to keep my physical body, safe when I'm away from it. Understand? So yeah, we get a little bit of the astral projection we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I like that it's magic. Yeah, I don't have to make magic make sense. I can just buy that it's magic, and I'm like, oh cool, we're just in for a fun ride.
I guess so, Mr. And Phantasmo. I'll see that nobody disturbs you, and oh help! Did you hear that? Did you hear that moan, Wither? Like someone in pain.
Man, don't they live in a much better time, right? If that like large, mostly naked man was touching that young bellboy, even in that friendly way that they're doing, that would lead to all kinds of problems in the modern day.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a cool. Obviously, the
Like
golden
there's
age
no
there. Golden
implications
age for
at all
cartoons
in that
and
time.
comics were cool compared to today, because it's like,
Yeah.
I get your point there. Today it'd be like Phantasmo would be getting called all the worst kind of things. There'd be all kinds of very nasty insinuations there that
The city itself would be filing a suit against him if they could track him down. But it's like it's such a good time. There's no implication. It's just there's this hero who is mostly naked for reasons doesn't matter. The important stuff's covered up. That's all that matters. He's a magician. This kid is just helping him out. Nothing's wrong with this whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Today though, they'd be screaming CM or something like that, right?
Yeah, something like that. There'd be some type of sexual harassment or something going on.
Yeah. Well, you know what I meant by CM.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
We're just not going to say the word for chances are, just like when we use
for your sake. If it was my channel, I'd have no problem saying it. But we're in your house right now, so
yeah. Well, I'm just being more cautious than anything else. I really couldn't care less either, because I know the context. I know how to use context. Even if there are those out there who don't. But anyways, that groan must have gone from room 919. Maybe I better tell the manager. Wait, Wither. Meanwhile, in room 919, watch the door. Thomas Love. Anybody heard that yell when the professor's gag slipped? We're in for it. We shoot the professor first. America must never have his great invention. You stay here with her. I'll look into this. Who's that? There, against the wall. Let him have it. Gee whiz, someone's cut loose with a Tommy gun. Grrr. Empty your guns. Empty your guns, you cowardly torturers. You cannot harm Phantasmo.
Yeah, it's like shooting at a ghost.
Yeah. Hence the name, right?
Yeah.
Eow! It's a gang fight. Look out! Look out for bullets! Tomislav has failed. Ian. We'll have to blow up the hotel.
Did he just kill those guys? I mean, they had it coming. I'm not going to say he shouldn't have, but like that drop could kill him.
Huh. Let's get out of here. Oh, I missed that line though.
Yeah, but like, yeah, he might have just killed those guys.
Huh. Well, he might have just thrown them out the window. That's what he did.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, look how high they're falling from.
Either he threw them out the window, or they jumped out the window trying to escape him.
Okay, well, you know what? If they jumped out, then at worst, it's involuntary manslaughter because he scared them. But maybe no even implications at all. He might have not done any trouble. Depends on why they jumped out, right?
Mhm.
But it's not murder if they jumped out of their own accord, necessarily. Technically, it could still be if you threaten them, but I don't see any evidence of that.
Yeah. Are you all right, Phantasmo? That shooting. There's no gun made that can hurt me, Wizard. Come in. Snap. He's fainted with the pain of those burns. You'll be gone instantly. I have learned the secret of healing from the lamas of Tibet. But I can't understand it. What happened to those foreign spies and my burns? Phantasmo took care of them, Professor Grayling. But say, what did those tortures want? My invention for turning salt water into a powerful motor fuel like gasoline. Wow, here we go again.
Yeah, I wanna know how that works.
They come up with the craziest ideas for stuff, don't they?
Yeah. I mean,
That's not the first thing they
yeah.
try to use to turn into fuel or whatever. That's not the first mundane thing they try to use to turn into fuel or something like that.
It's got electrolytes.
It would double the wealth of any nation that possessed it. I've never dared but the secret I never dared put the secret in what writing, but I'm due in Washington this evening to give a demonstration with this machine. Meanwhile, in 819, 200 pounds of dynamite right under the professor's room. It will blow him and his friends through the roof. If we cannot get his invention, no other country shall benefit by it. Below the professor's room, the burning fuse brings near impending doom. Professor, pack up that engine. You're leaving for Washington by airplane now. Wizard, get a taxi. A few moments later, his friend's departure. A few moments after his friend's departure, Phantasmo's mind penetrates the walls, notes the sputtering fuse. A bomb! As the explosion bursts through the stone and steel, boom! Clear the streets before I let this building fall. Oops. Too late to prevent the blast, but incredibly, the shattered building still remains upright as a tremendous voice urges the crowd to flee. Clear the streets before I let this building fall. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah. This is why magic is a good superpower, though. You know, like you can at least temporarily stop buildings from falling, even though it makes no sense to be able to do that from just grip alone. Like you bypass physics, you know.
Plus, you can always suspend belief, and that's what makes magic stories kind of interesting. You can always suspend belief. You don't have to worry as much about the leaps of logic that we've seen.
Oh yeah. That's the power of magic, you know. And you can still restrict your magic. Be like, hey, this person's abilities only work in what we describe, but then you can be like, okay, well, because it's magic, whatever you said works. I believe that it works every time.
As the last terrified pedestrian reaches safety, a mountain of wreckage crashes down. I kind of wonder what about the rest of the people in that building, because obviously there was a manager. There's probably quite a few other tenants also in that building who are.
Yeah, does everybody make it out somehow? Or
If those dynamiters got wind of the professor's escape, they'll follow the plane. His plane. Into Phantasma's mental vision flashes the plane which carries Professor Grayling. Its co-pilot dead. The passenger plane is being riddled with bullets. I'll stop those murdering fiends. Those murdering fiends. Those meddling kids.
yeah.
Right? With one quick lightning-like stroke, Phantasmo tears apart the first attacking plane. Oh, you know what I also just realized? What about his body? His body was...
Yeah, wasn't that inside the building?
Huh?
It was, yeah, wasn't his body inside the building? Hopefully the little whiz kid there got the body to safety somehow. He seemed pretty strong with the luggage. Maybe he just like threw him over his shoulder and carried him down the collapsing stairs.
Mm-hmm. Those eyes! I'm shooting right into them. He's breaking the plane in pieces. As one slaps a mosquito, Phantasmo smashes the second enemy ship. What I'm seeing is impossible. A bullet must have clipped me on the head. This passenger plane can still fly, but I'm staying with it as far as the Washington airport.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Did you ever see the Haunted Mansion movie with like Eddie Murphy that came out in like the mid-aughts?
No.
Right? Well, in it, there's a scene where like he confronts a ghost and like the ghost is holding him, and he tries to like hit the ghost, but it's like just like a ghost, he's only tangible where he wants to be tangible, which is like the grip holding him, and it's like his hands are just going through. That's basically exactly what's happening here. It's like he's tangible where he wants to touch the plane, but then he's intangible with them like shooting at him and everything else.
Well, I get your point there. I
Yeah.
see that. I mean, I see that a lot in Casper cartoons too, right?
Yeah. And it's perfectly fine when you're dealing with ghosts, especially when you have either more magical or cartoon logic, which a lot of times you're dealing with ghosts anyway. But it's always just a fun thing where it's like, ha ha ha. Physics works for me when I want it to, and not for you when I want it to.
All right. So, anyways, Phantasmo. Leaving the professor's plane safe at the airport, Phantasmo speeds back to New York. Farewell, farewell, Phantasmo. Phantasmo? What? Who is he? Oh, Phantasmo? What? Who is he? Phantasmo arrives at the wrecked hotel to find Whizzer McGee searching desperately in the ruins. If only I could find Phantasmo's body. He asked me to keep it safe. Touched by the boy's loyalty, Phantasmo decides to end his suspense and he disappears into a mass of rubble, but suddenly in his human body, Phantasmo steps out of the wreckage.
Well, that
Looking
answers that question for us.
for his body was still there, safe, I guess.
Yeah.
Looking for me? Gee, um, gee whiz, Phantasmo. I mean, Mr. Anslin, you're not even hurt. Not a bit, Whizzer. But loyalty like yours calls for a reward. How would you like a job as my assistant from now on? Follow Phantasmo and his young friend Whizzer through other strange adventures in the next issue of Funny. So I guess I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
start. I'm gonna have to start reading Crackerjack Funnies and Funnies now every issue now rather than just sporadically like I had been before. Now that we have some characters to focus on, right?
Yeah. I also guess like we had to assume that his body was fine anyway, because he didn't disappear. Right? Like if he died in the like his body died, we would assume that Phantasmo would just kind of vanish.
Mm-hmm.
But also that like to be able to have more issues, his body clearly had to have been around. It's
Yeah.
just interesting that they let it fall into the rubble.
Yeah. Well, with that, um, so, anyways, I I'll ask this when I get back because I need to step away from the computer one more time here.
Okie doke.
I'll be right back. You can, I guess, chat with the chat as it were. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So if you happen to be watching the VOD up to this point, go down into the comments and leave your opinions on Phantasmo's design. Do you like giant, semi-naked golden men that you can see through? Let us know. Personally, I could take or leave it, but he stands out. You know, you can't mistake him for anybody else. At least he's clearly Phantasmo. I guess for giant characters that you might see a little bit more than you want to, at least he's still more covered up than the view you would get of Apache Chief if you were on the ground. So there's that. It was a fun comic, a fun idea. And I wasn't familiar with Phantasmo until now, but it's one of those ideas you're like, man, they should continue that. I don't know how long it continues. No, I don't think he exists in the modern day unless some other company like absorbed him or something. But you kind of when you get like an interesting, like a very actual unique idea for a character and they disappear, that's a little sad. But then again, maybe it's for the best because I've seen what happens when characters live for too long. Yeah. Some ways, I wish Superman ended before I was even born. That's how I'd want it to be. There's so many characters that went on for way too long, and now they're just like empty shells of their former self. It'd be better just to like take these old characters and keep them in print indefinitely. You know, even if it was like print on demand. If whoever owns the rights to this stuff, I don't know like who absorbed what at what point in time, but like a lot of this stuff should just be collected and then maybe sold in like print on demand, where when somebody buys it, you just print it specifically for that purchase and then ship to them.
All right. So overall impressions of the Phantasmo story, Metal?
As of narrative goes, wasn't that strong. It wasn't weak either. It was just kind of like normal. But like as design, concept, and usage of the character, I thought it was pretty good.
All right. So anything more you want to say on your overall impression before we move on to the next part here?
Is it extra points for the mechanics of the story being magic, because that's just easier to work with.
And you don't have the leaps in logic as we've
Yeah.
talked quite a bit, right? All right. All right. So now we get to the next part here. So we went over 3 features tonight: Ellery Queen, the Owl, and Phantasmo. So first off, which story did you either like the best or made the best impression on you?
Oh, I think Ellery Queen was just the strongest in general. Which, like I was saying when you were off camera, maybe it was like the first time or whatever, but that tends to be the case when we're dealing with a pre-existing character that gets adapted and they've got stuff to draw from. Is like usually the story tends to be stronger.
All right. So Ellery Queen was the one that you liked the most, or
yeah.
All right. And in contrast, which story did you like the least, or made the least impression, and why? And I forgot to ask why, but you gave your why for the first question. So this question, of course, which of the 2 remaining stories, which one did you like the least, or made the least impression on you, and why?
That's actually tough. I might not have an answer for that, because I think the other 2 might just be tied with each other for different reasons. You know, like I think they kind of just evened out, right? I think in narrative, the Owl was slightly better, but in some of the other concepts and stuff, talking about like standing out, Phantasmo might be better. I don't think one was really stronger than the other for me to have that strong of opinion for liking one less than the other.
You know, since I've been asking these questions, right? You know, best and worst questions, right?
Yeah.
As we've gone on a bit here, it's been getting, particularly for the worst part, usually it's been getting harder. It's been getting harder for you guys to answer those questions. You know, and I've been talking about that a lot with you guys lately. You know, which of course
I don't know. Usually I've got to stand out. I think when we cover more stories, though, it's definitely easier. We only covered 3 tonight. Like sometimes if we cover 4 or 5, it's easier. There just wasn't a standout tonight. And maybe if we had another one, that might have been the standout, right? Or maybe that would have been in the middle, and these other 2 would have been lower than that. But it's a lot harder when we're covering less stories. But some of the stories are on average getting longer too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and I don't know if I had this particular discussion with you before. I know there's another discussion I've been starting with you guys a little bit more. and I don't know if we've had it at least once before already or not. But let me ask you this. So you've now been doing this with me for a while now, right? We've been going over the stories and reading them and commenting on them and stuff like that.
If you say so, yeah.
Based on your observations from the time you started co-hosting with me to now, how would you say the stories have progressed over time? Taking
Oh,
into
you
account
have asked me this before, and I don't think my answer's changed yet. Um, I don't really think they've improved that much on average. I do think where we're starting to see improvements to, though, is we're starting to, in some of the cases, get into publications that didn't exist before, right? Like when I got to cover Shadow Comics with you, that was by far the best thing that I've covered with you out of everything, but it also didn't exist in the prior times before we covered it, right? We were covering the first one. So I think we are slowly getting to an age where some of the older stuff that wasn't as good is dying out or being changed hands, so it's getting better. And also some of the stronger stuff with newer talent is coming in. But overall, it does still kind of feel roughly the same.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they're still obviously still pretty early on in the era of comic books and all that. And we know, I mean, as I said, even with tonight's books that we saw, the last time I did Dell, right? They were still doing the reprints. That's why I was only doing the sporadic. But now they're actually now doing original characters now, to where now will have to start. I'll probably have to start including Dell on a monthly basis. I can't just do it sporadically anymore, because now they're actually adding some. They're not just while they do have some reprints in the comic, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like the whole comic is all reprint. It's like you got a mix of reprints and new stuff. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we
alrighty
did
then.
get like
Go
3
ahead.
almost very different types of stories. I mean, 2 of them had more overlap, right? We had a classic detective story. We had a vigilante detective story. So there's a little bit of overlap between those two. And then we had like a vigilante superhero story. So they are 3 very different stories this time. And I think 2 of those genres are starting to develop more, right? So I think some of the stories, yeah, well, and also the vigilante detective genre is starting to develop more as its own genre and not just like a branch of the general detective genre, right? Like it's even kind of moving into almost the same class as this newer superhero genre. And because those are developing more, we are probably going to start seeing better stories, because there will be more examples of other stuff people can be influenced by, more tropes they can work with that just weren't there before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and We'll move on now to the last part of the show here. This weekend in Niche history. Today being, of course, Sunday, July the 20th, 2025. Alrighty then. So, first off, going back to yesterday, as we head back to 2006. So, 19 years ago yesterday. 19 years ago yesterday, the 115th issue of Blade of the Immortal from Dark Horse, Dark Horse's manga imprint, went on sale on yesterday's date, 19 years ago, back in 2006. Sold for $2.99 and was 32 pages. So back on yesterday's date, 2006, 19 years ago, 115th issue of Blade of the Immortal from Dark Horse Manga, the imprint of Dark Horse, went on sale on yesterday's date back in 2006. And moving ahead, as soon as I can find the cursor here. Moving ahead to the year 2010. On this date in the year 2010, as soon as I find it. Oh, actually, no. Actually, this was actually I should have did this one first because actually it was. I thought it was 2010, but it was actually 2000. On this day in the year 2000, 20 years ago or 25 years ago today, the OLM's Steel Angel Kurumi Encore OVA premiered in Japan, or was released in Japan on this date 25 years ago today. So 25 years ago today, back in the year 2000. OLM's OVA Steel Angel Kurumi Encore premiered, was released in Japan on this date 25 years ago today. Kind of mixed it up a bit there, but that's okay. Usually try to do it in chronological order as best I can, but even I can be a little floppy at times. Anyways, now moving on to today's date, as we first off head back 100 years ago today. On this date, 100 years ago today, back in 1925, Fable Studios' The Window Washers premiered in theaters on this date back in 1925. The Window Washers is a 1925 silent animated short subject produced by Fable Studios and one of Aesop's Fables cartoons, started by animator Paul Terry. Of course, Paul Terry going on to give us Terry Tunes. Of course, among those characters that we know include Mighty Mouse, Heckle and Jekyll, and Farmer Alfalfa. When released for television in the 1950s, musical tracks were added. So, on this day, 100 years ago today, The Window Washers from Fable Studios, produced or animated by Paul Terry, premiered in theaters on this day 100 years ago. And finally, in the year 2015, 10 years ago today, on this day 10 years ago today, the night after that year's Battleground, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Sprint Center in Kansas City, Missouri. Let's see. The main event saw Randy Orton, John Cena, and Cesaro defeat Rusev, Kevin Owens, and Sheamus in 14:57. Naomi and Sasha Banks, Tamina in their corner, defeated Paige and Becky Lynch, Charlotte in their corner via submission. And the show opened up with Charlotte, with Paige and Becky Lynch, defeating Brie Bella, who had Nikki Bella and Alicia Fox via submission. So that's all we got for you on this day in Meets History. And before we leave, before we head out, Metal, would you like to promote anything or share any links?
Well, the only two things I'd promote are still also the only two things in the chat tonight, so it's almost no point in me reposting them, but you can find my fictional works, my comics and web novels and everything at xdynamuschaos.com, and you can find my live shows that I do at least 2 times a week over at youtube.com/@Vomitorium and yeah, you know, the same stuff. You guys know where to find me by now. Yeah. This is the same stuff I promote every time.
Yeah. I just figured I'd give you the chance to do so if you wanted it. So, you know. Well, with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Metal, if you could stick around for a couple minutes afterwards, just for a post-show wrap-up, you know the situation and all that. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. We'll be back here tomorrow night with more niche news. Also, next week I'll be joined by Rick Piper as we will from Cross Comics as we will continue our look down Comics History Lane. I believe we might be looking at Harvey Comics next week, so from June of 1940. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.